So growing up, my mom always told me stories from her childhood and how she used to go to school. She used to live in Lorong Lew Lian in the 80s and 90s. And back then, a lot of things there were very different to how it is now. On the way to school, she had a lot of adventures, pick up tamarind seeds off the floor and eat it. And I'm just like, wow, really? Also, around the period when she grew up in Lorong Lew Lian, that was like when urbanization started, and the landscape there would be, I assume, would look very different from now. I wanted to see and feel what it was like back in her time, and obviously I can't do that. But one thing I can do is retrace her footsteps as she goes to school. I also want to see, are there any glimpses of what it was like in the 80s and 90s? And also, I'm gonna bring my friend along with me to the journey at Lorong Lew Lian, and we will document our experience going there.
I'm Zahida. I stayed at Block 5, Lorong Lew Lian when I was younger. It's at the corner of Upper Serangoon Road and Upper Paya Lebar Road. During P1 and P2, I remember taking the school transport. It was the older bus kind with no aircon and open windows. There was an informal queue system. Instead of lining up, we actually put our bags to choke our spot. Starting off primary 3, I walked to school mostly alone, sometimes with some of the neighborhood kids who were in the same primary school. Okay, so it was only when I was starting P5 that I started to take public transport to school. I actually had a benefactor who provided us with bus stamps. So for the whole of my school days period, I did not pay for any of the bus transport fee. Oh yes, the old cemeteries, the Muslim cemetery, the Christian cemetery, and the Chinese cemetery. Okay, between my house, my old house, and my primary school, there were a lot of shop houses along the way. But I remembered the old Paya Lebar police station, which was right next to my old estate. And further down, there was this mall called Upper Serangoon Shopping Centre. So the mall is still there. When I walk to school, sometimes instead of walking along the pedestrian path, I actually climb down into the longkang up until a particular point, and then I will climb out and continue to make my way to school. Many areas have actually made way to development, such as Bidadari Cemetery. All the cemeteries have been transformed into housing estates and parks, as well as most of the shop houses along Upper Serangoon area are no longer there. As sad that I am to see memories of my childhood being erased, I believe it's important that cultures evolve so that younger generations have the opportunity to create their own memories. So I feel that it is more important to preserve heritage. Actually, that has been seen in the retainment of road names, maintaining or preserving the spirit or the vibe of that particular area.
Hello, so we are at the start of Lorong Lew Lian Road, and my mom just lives down the road there. That used to be the Paya Lebar police station. Half of the blocks here in Lorong Lew Lian are built on top of a cemetery.
Really?
If we see some ghosts, we will document it. All of this landed housing did not exist last time, and it was instead filled with grass fields, or lalang in Malay. We are at Jalan Cermat, and you can see the back of me are these red buildings. They didn't exist also back then, my mom said. And now we are going to the Upper Serangoon Shopping Centre, which is right in front of us. mom used to go here when she hang out with her friends, and it's dying.
It's very rundown, but
Mhm.
I can imagine this being like a very simplistic mall.
I think I could see why last time my mom used to hang out here. It's kind of sad to see it like run down and there's hardly any shops. I hope they can bring this back to life. Yeah.
I'd love to see.
Priya and I were walking along this path towards my mom's old primary school, and there's a lot of community-led activities that we saw. And there were birds too. We finally reached the school, and I felt a bittersweet emotion overcome me seeing my mom's old primary school so wonderfully preserved. I could imagine her walking along this path, entering the school, and playing games with her friends. My mom used to go inside one of these drains to play with the moss and algae. I think now if we go down, we'll be arrested by the police, so we can't. We just finished walking, and how do you feel about the changing landscape and urbanization?
I think we became very comfortable and accustomed to like having so many privileges like public transport, MRT. Because of that, we forget how our parents used to live and like how much more carefree days back then compared to now.
I think it's up to our generation to, preserve whatever is left and also find a way to keep up with the world. Our generation, we have to find a way to balance that. As my mom said, it is important that cultures evolve so that younger generations have the opportunity to create their own memories. The retainment of road names and the development that geared towards maintaining the spirit are ways that Singapore preserves its history and culture. As we get older and make space for the younger generation, or our own children perhaps, to preserve Singapore's culture and landscape, would they have seen the Singapore that we grew up with? Or a new version of Singapore that has evolved further? The Singapore that I see now are miles different from the Singapore that my mom saw in her neighborhood growing up. But still, I am able to make beautiful memories with her and reminisce about her past, as glimpses of her childhood can still be seen. From Lorong Lew Lian, my mother's home, to the Singapore we know today, love and memory endure.